important. And thank you
Pleasure.
for
Thank you.
getting everything going, as it has been so good for us already. Okay. This, the whole hold on, and there's more housekeeping to do. Let's get everybody on mute. I'm gonna do it here. I did that. Okay, hold on. Now anyone can unmute themselves if they need to, and if anything else happens, we'll deal with that then. Okay, great. Thank you everybody for coming, and here we go. The Torah is divided throughout the year into how do we call it? Into 52 sections. Every week of the year, beginning with the Saturday following Simchat Torah, which is actually last Shabbat, all the way through till the Saturday preceding Simchat Torah, we read another part of the Torah every single year. This is for a specific need. Our intention is to review the words given to us by God on a regular basis. Now, of course, we could not suggest that reading through the Torah on a regular basis is irrelevant to where we are in the year. And so what I mean to say is, in other words, that the date of the year, the period of the year, the time of the year where we're up to, it's all kind of relevant to the Parsha, and it's something that we can learn from. We can use our Parsha to teach us about the time that we are in. And so what I'd like to do tonight is first review the Parsha as it develops, and then I'll take a couple of points to focus on. For the people who are always on the clock, I'm hoping to conclude my lesson around 6:35. We'll do 10 minutes of questions, and then we'll sign off at 6:45, wishing everybody a Shabbat Shalom. So here goes. Just by the way, my favorite Chumash, my favorite version of the Torah is this one. I think your image of me is backwards, so you can't really see it so clear. It's printed by the Chabad printing press. And it's available online. And if you'd like the link, send me an SMS, a email, and I can forward you a link for this one. The God opens up the parsha by telling us that we are all that Noach is a great man, is a holy man, is a unique person in his generation. We move on. God recognizes that the world has become not what it was intended to be, and so he says it's time to refresh. Let's redo this. He commands Noah, build yourself an ark, bring all the animals onto the ark, build it this way, build it that way, and then you'll get into it when the rain starts. The rain is going to go for 40 days, 40 nights, and then you'll float for the remainder of the year. In between the commandment of God to Noah, telling him to build the ark, until where we stand today, which is really which is Noah completing the ark and the rain beginning. So between the commandment and the conclusion, how long do you think there is? So if you know how to use the chat box, put in a number of how many years you reckon there is in between these two times, if you can use the chat box. Okay, awesome. So I'm getting private responses. That's right. There's 120 years for Noah to tell everybody that there's a that's right, Robert. Thank you. Quite a while. There is 120 years from Noah until the end. What happens in that time? Noah is meant to be instructing the people. Well, you know what, guys? God is upset with how things are going. Let's repent, let's change our ways, let's return to how he'd prefer it. However, the people don't listen. Obviously, the people don't listen, and finally, the rain begins. Noah, feeling the rain, sensing that the flood is imminent, gets on the ark and closes the door, and there it goes. The Talmud tells us that as Noah is taking care of all the animals on the ark, he experiences a state such utter exhaustion from all of that work that he begins to cough blood. And Noah is so tired, so worked out. His entire family is, of course, part of this team, in helping, taking care of the animals and taking care of all the stuff that's on the ark. But they're working to no how do you say, to no end. And in fact, think about the schedule of animals. Some animals are nocturnal. Some of them are around during the day. Some go to sleep for 6 months. So Noah has to deal with all of these different schedules, and it's quite difficult, in fact, to the extent, as we said, that he gets so tired, he starts coughing up blood, and one day he tarries, and the Talmud tells us he tarries in bringing food to the lion, and the lion, the king of the animals, feels disrespected and gives him a slap. And we'll focus on that later on, and if I forget to make sure to ask. Fine, the rain ends, and Noah is sitting in the ark and waiting for the time to go out until the ark settles, and he feels that it's time. He opens the window, he sends out the raven comes back, he sends out a dove. The dove comes back the first time, comes back the first time with an olive twig, and the second time he doesn't come back altogether. And this is how Noah knows that it's time to go. And in fact, it's at this point where God commands everybody, it's time to leave. It's time to get out of the ark. It's time to continue on. It's time to re-experience life as it's meant to be. And here's the classic joke. All of the animals, including all the reptiles, are on the ark together with Noah. And Noah says, everybody go off. It's time to multiply. And the adders stay on the ark. Adders, I've discovered, are a type of snake. And so they stay on the ark because they can't go ahead and multiply. They can only add. Noah and all of the animals get off the ark, and we experience this moment. Robert, I knew you'd get it. That's excellent. Thank you. We experience this moment where Noah lets us down. God commands Noah, you've got to take on a lot of kosher animals. One of the reasons why we need more kosher animals might be because we need them to be around for people to eat. The other option is that God wanted Noah to sacrifice those extra animals to him. And so Noah is meant to build an altar from his own intuition on which he will sacrifice animals. What happens? Noah instead immediately plants a vineyard. And as the Torah continues to tell us, he gets drunk. He leaves himself in a compromised state. His grandson finds him. His grandson is uncomfortable with that. He does what he does, and then he calls the rest of the family to see that their patriarch, is lying there in his tent in a unusual fashion. Noah, the family, the children, 2 sons, Shem and Yafet, go ahead and they cover their father in a respectful manner. And the Torah tells us that they both entered in a way that they would not see how their father is lying in the tent. And the simple understanding is that their father is lying in the tent undressed in his drunken state, and the two sons of Noah, come in, both of them with their back to Noah so they can't see it, and then they drape a sheet over him so that at least he's covered. Noah wakes up, and the Torah tells us that he is aware of what happened to him. He knows what was done to him.
Volume muted.
It's my phone.
Is it me?
Oh, hold on 1 second, because you're on the call. We need to mute you.
How are we doing?
Sorry, Rabbi, we're trying to get
Okay.
your Dodson on. She's having a little trouble with her microphone.
On my end?
No, it's on her side, I think.
Okay. Can I continue
Could be
yet?
muting me. I don't know.
Do you
Should
have
I
a link
continue or not yet?
microphone?
Pardon?
Okay. I muted everybody, so let's see. Let's hope that works out well. Okay. And so what happens next? Noah wakes up. He curses his grandson, who he knows did hurt him, and he blesses the rest of the family to continue to be the progenitors of the entire world. And the Torah continues. Now, of course, the Torah continues with the story of the Tower of Babel, which we're not going to talk about tonight, and then introduces Abraham. What I'd like to do with you guys, with all of us together tonight, is focus on Noah. And hold on. There we go. Okay. Ann Dodson is actually Ann Dodson. Could you help us by not going on mute? Okay, let's see how that goes. So I'd like to focus on the following ideas. We've discussed a couple of things throughout our story. The first one that I'd like to focus on is how God instructs Noah to enter the ark. Now, what is the Hebrew word for ark? Ark in Hebrew is a teva. So if you know how to write in Hebrew, or if you're familiar with the letters, it would be Taf, Yud, Vet, Hey, teva. If you'd like to experience that in the transliterated method, it would be Teiva. And the teva is the typical translation of teva would be a box, and as such the ark. But in our case, the Kabbalah and Chassidut teaches us that you can understand teva to also mean words. Words made up of letters is also called a teva. Now, where would a person go to protect themselves from torrential rains? Where would someone go if they felt like they would be very uncomfortable? Where would someone go if they're going to feel very uncomfortable and unsafe in any kind of circumstance? They should go indoors. They should go into a protected place, somewhere where they can be safe, and in there they can cover themselves. They can be, they can be safe. In our situation, we see how the world is in trouble. It's going to be washed away, and God is telling us a lesson by telling Noah, enter into the teva. You go into the teva, and that's going to be your safe zone. What's this teva, and what's the lesson for us? And now, especially, I'm not from the doomsday sayers, God forbid, but in our current society and in the world around us today, people feel like they may not be safe. People feel overwhelmed with the stresses of our current reality. These three words that God communicates to Noah can come very important to us all. What are the three words? Enter into the teva, or enter into the ark, or enter into the words. Now, what words are we talking about? We're talking about the words of the Torah, which God has given to us. And this is a unique piece of guidance. When you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling unsafe, you can enter into the words of prayer, the words of Torah study. You can allow yourself to kind of meditate your way out of overwhelm and into a safe space that you've created for yourself. So as we did before, we prayed, take a moment any time of the day, any time of the year. It doesn't matter where or when. Take a moment to recognize that we are fortunate to have a loving God, a loving Father who cares for us and is creating us a safe space in which we can go inside and reach out to our Father in heaven and pray and connect truly with who we really are. And yet another thing that's really important also to consider in this is that the King David in Psalms tells us that the words of Torah are a source of joy, a source of celebration. So when a person goes into the world of prayer and he enters into the world of study, he allows the light of the Torah to enter into him and to envelope him and to become a part of him. And that gives that person, he or she, and the light and the happiness that they need to persevere and to continue throughout their reality. So that's one idea, which I think is quite relevant. And if anybody has, of course, if you've got a comment that you'd like to make regarding any one of the ideas I share, please share it in the chat box and we'll get through them. Any questions we will discuss as well. If anybody can do some multitasking and get onto Facebook Live and tell us if we've got any comments over there, anyone's asking a good question, we can try answer those questions as well. In the meanwhile, l'chaim. It's water, don't worry. Okay, here's another idea. The Torah tells us, the Torah describes how Noah is commanded, build the teva, build the ark. In the ark, God says, make in there a tzohar. What is a tzohar? Well, there are multiple possibilities. One idea, of course, is that it's a window, that God is telling Noah, make a skylight in the roof so that you'll be able to see and so that you'll be able to experience the outside while you're inside. You know, there are many pictures online. You can Google what does Noah's Ark look like, and you'll get these boat-like fixtures. However, it's difficult to say that Noah built that. It seems more like that he built a rectangular prism, a big box with 3 levels and a pointed roof for the rain to fall down off. Why does Noah need, so in those pictures online, you'll always see like a deck, but the real ark did not have a deck. In fact, it was just that slanted roof. So what does it need a skylight for? Maybe for a bit of light. But the issue with that, of course, is that the instruction is build quarters for every person. Build like a room kind of for every different animal. So if there are multiple rooms and those are on the second floor of the ark, what value does that skylight have? So there's a second option. There's another explanation, and that is that that the tzohar is not a skylight, rather it's a precious stone, a unique stone which emanates light. It's a illuminating stone. And so God is commanding Noah, take that stone, bring it onto the ark, and that will be the source of light for you in the ark. So the follow-up question to that one is going to be, well, Noah, if you're already carrying around this stone, why don't you just carry around oil lamps? Create some kind of carryable torch, a portable source of light that's replenishable, that you together with any other individual in the ark can also use. Noah came on with 3 sons, 3 daughters, his wife. It's a lot of people who are all serving animals. They can't just be limited to one source of light. They've got to have multiple. So the suggestion of precious stone is also somewhat difficult for us to use in this case. There is, of course, another opinion, which is that Soha doesn't actually mean precious stone or skylight. It means oil lamps, but that isn't chosen as one of the basic understandings. So with this whole conundrum, let's try learn a lesson from what's happening in the ark, and in the end we'll discover actually what kind of light this really is. When a person finds himself in a difficult place, in a dark situation, and they need to uplift themselves. They need to relieve themselves of their anxiety, or they need to relieve themselves of their stresses. What should they do? So one option is where you should start from is you should open up a skylight. Open up a light in your prism that will allow in the godly energies that surround us. When we're down and we're having a hard time, the easiest way to uplift ourselves is to recognize that really God has created us. God has created us. God wants us. God needs us. And God every day is telling us we're important. And when we're feeling like we're stuck, when we're feeling like we're in a rut, opening up that skylight to allow in the recognition that God needs us is step one to settling down and being more calm and being more happy. What is step two? Step two is to find the precious stone in you and to allow it to shine. Often, a person will be so stressed or suffering from anxiety or whatnot, and often it is because they are very self-focused. If we can get this person to recognize their importance, and that God needs them, and God needs them for a purpose of adding and benefiting others, then they need to uncover the inner value and the inner light that they've got in them and allow it to shine out to others. And that's that precious stone. So we have the two methods of bringing light into the ark, whether it's a skylight or it's the precious stone which you can carry around. And in our lives, that's recognizing how we are valuable in the eyes of God, and then allowing our own goodness and our own inherent light to shine out. And finally, I'm going to share with you guys a third idea, which I mentioned earlier, and that is as Noah is taking care of the animals in the ark, him and his entire family become super exhausted. And of course, Noah is so exhausted that, as I said before, he tarries in his service of all the animals. What happens? Noah is so tired. Noah is so exhausted. He starts coughing up blood. He can't handle the work. And so what does he do? He tarries, he comes late, and he comes late to which animal? His luck, the most dangerous of them all, he comes late to the lion. The lion, recognizing that Noah is late, says he gives Noah a slap. He swipes at Noah, and of course we know that that I don't know what the right word for this in English is, but that grab of the lion is quite strong and quite powerful, and it injures Noah forever. Noah is forever hurt wherever it is in his body. Is this happenstance, or is there a lesson here as well? And I'd like to suggest a possible answer for all of us that we can take home. Sometimes we get very absorbed in the work that we're doing, and we forget to take care of ourselves. And so there's this popular notion in 2020 that we have to be involved in self-care. We've got to take care of ourselves. And of course, taking care of ourselves is super important. We don't want to forget to do what we need to do. If it's eating 3 healthy meals a day, or if it's doing exercise on a regular basis, or if it's breathing, we need to take a break. But the lion has an opinion too. The lion makes a very valid point, and he says, yes, it's important not to get stuck in expending all of our energies on others and coming back to ourselves and finding that we're not there anymore because we're just so wiped out. But that can't be at the expense of someone else. When there's someone else that needs us, we need to find that perfect, perhaps impossible to find balance of taking care of ourselves and providing for the other. And so, the parents amongst us and the teachers amongst us and the public servants amongst us are familiar with this very well. When there are needy people around us, people that we are committed to taking care of, but then we need to take care of ourselves as well, and at the same time be taking care of them. Now, go figure out how to do that. I don't exactly know. I haven't done it yet, although I can tell you I'm at the gym every morning. But otherwise, we've got to be doing, each of us, our part to be taking care of ourselves and somehow focusing energies on the other as well. Well, here we are. We've done a couple of minutes of talking about the parsha. We've learned a couple of lessons from what it is. If anybody would like to ask a question, I'm going to unmute the crowd so that if you'd like to, better said, I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. If you'd like to talk, if you'd like to ask a question, go ahead. Anyone with a question? You've also got an inherent light that you can share around with everybody. And finally, the final takeaway we shared was caring for yourself is just as important as caring for others. So take care of yourself and take care of them too. Find that mix. And I look forward to seeing all of you guys again on Thursday next week. All right.
Could I ask one related question?
The professor.
Just one, if I may. Having to do with the rainbow, I'm struck by the fact that God refers to the rainbow, I think at least twice, as a sign to him, to remind him that he won't destroy the world again. Whereas we normally think of it that it's a sign to humanity that they can trust that this won't happen again. I'm struck by the way in which God refers to it as a sign to him, to himself, and a reminder to himself not to do
okay,
that
Robert,
again.
my luck is that I can't hear you well at all, and I do not yet know why. So let's just see if I can.
Are others hearing me?
Setting? Is it a
Yes.
setting? I don't think.
Oh,
it's a
okay. Okay, thank you.
Robert, give it to us again. I'm going to listen carefully.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, this has to do with the rainbow and the fact that I'm struck by, in at least two verses, God says that the rainbow is a sign and a reminder to him not to destroy the world again, which is sort of counter to the idea that it's a sign to humanity that we can trust that he won't do it again. I mean, maybe it's both, but I'm struck by God's language that it's there for him to remind him not to destroy the world again.
So the professor is wondering, it sounds, why does God need to make a sign for himself
Yes.
to not destroy the world again? Is that where we're going?
Yes, exactly.
Let's give a quick look in the Chumash.
The rainbow.
Okay, here it is.
Never again shall.
You know what? The professor has a good question, and regretfully, I'm not prepared for the answer.
Oh, okay.
That's the simple answer. So I will get back to you with a better answer.
Okay, okay.
But I've got to say, it's a good question. And I know that I listened to something earlier this week about it. And so I'm just going to head back to that
Okay.
and find it for you. I'll share the lesson that I learned with you there. And then with God's help, we can continue studying.
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
Awesome. Okay, so my blessings for Shabbat Shalom for everybody. It's great to see the soon-to-be familiar faces, all the new faces here. Trudy, welcome from Canada. Juan, welcome from Dublin, I think. Laura, and I can't see the second name there, but welcome you guys from where? I don't know.
We're from Macon.
Macon Jews.
I mean, we're not
Macon.
from Macon, we live in Macon.
Right,
We've been here
okay,
for
so
21 years.
let's try connect personally so that I can get to know you guys. And welcome to someone that I don't know who it is up here, but that's okay. Welcome, of course, to
Mal from
Professor and
Dublin.
Linda, Chrissy, and Brian. And to Mal, welcome Mal. Welcome to Devorah. Welcome to Moshe Mishkov, who's here with us from Columbus. And who am I seeing here otherwise? And welcome to Ann Dodson. Okay, have a Shabbat Shalom. All the best to all, and I look forward to seeing you guys next Thursday.
Have a
Shabbat Shalom. Thank
Shabbat
you.
Shalom. Thank you.
You are welcome.
very much.